Welcome to another episode of Mad in Love. I'm your host, Dr. David Hawkins, and today we have my favorite series on this podcast. I don't know if that's true. Well, I like it a lot. Okay, it's Dr. Hawkins Reacts, where my colleague Jonathan Glover and I react to Reddit posts, and my producer, Katie Buckley, compiles them for us. So let's dive right in. What do you have for us today, Katie?
All right, starting strong. This is by Calligrapher Grand 439. And she says that my ex-husband was a good father, but a terrible husband. I divorced him when my oldest was 14 and my youngest was 10. He ended up spiraling and the kids were exposed to that. And I blamed him. And I was blamed for ruining Dad. He got better after a few years, but ended up doing it again when he learned that I was dating. So the kids kept trying to get me not to date since it affected their father. It was an awful time since to the kids, I was still responsible for what he did and reacted to things. In the end, I just kept dating on the low end, which wasn't hard since I wasn't introducing the kids to the men anyway. All I had to do was change to not posting on social media. And as a side note, yes, I sent my kids to therapy. They all stopped when they hit 18, or my middle child refused to talk, so I pulled him. Well, now the oldest is 25 and the youngest is 21, and I got proposed to. I sat them down and told them, and they were not happy. They were pissed. They were pissed I was doing this to their dad. Lots of talks later, I thought it was good. The wedding was in 2 weeks. I got a text from all the kids saying that they will not be going to my wedding and that they need to support their dad during this time. I had enough and texted them that if they do not go to my wedding, it will damage our relationship and I will not be attending their own weddings when they get married. They were upset and they started to argue, and all of them think that I'm a huge jerk. I truly hate that I can't do anything that makes me happy since it will affect my ex. So is she the a-hole?
Oh my goodness. This has got many, I don't even know if I caught all of the ramifications. Jonathan, you'll help me unpack this. But no, she's not the a-hole. The children, my goodness, have they been influenced by the ex? Very much so. They've been probably, I can't say for sure, but sounds like they have been enmeshed in his feelings and his feeling threatened by her dating and so on. However, all of that said, I'm going to jump to the end. Her retaliating and saying, well, I won't go to your weddings then. Not, no. Let's
and
just
you can't come to my
keep
birthday
the issue.
party.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, that's retaliation never works. So there's a great phrase, Jonathan, you've probably heard this phrase, what we don't work out, we act out. So there's lots of acting out here on his part, their part, her part. Everybody is acting out. And we're therapists, so of course I would say something like what I'm about to say. They all have some things to work out. So the ex presumably needs to work out his feelings about her dating. The kids need to work out their feelings about mom dating and dad's involving them. She needs to work out her feelings about them and him. Lots of working out so that it's not a jumbled mess that it appears to be now. Jonathan, what did I miss, or what do you want to amplify?
No, I wrote down that same word, the retaliation. That was the piece where I winced and said, "Ooh, not great." As far as the whole family unit, though, seeing this before in practice with clients, I wouldn't expect the ex. I would not expect the ex-husband to willingly want to work on anything or to address any of these concerns. There's really no motivation for him to do that unless he sees some sort of harmful impact
Sure.
on someone. So I think because he benefits quite a bit from I'm going to put this in quotes, playing the victim here. He gets a lot of his stories that, again, the stories that he's telling himself, he gets a lot of that reinforced by seeing the children have this response to her, but also to him. So I think the question more is what do the kids want to do about this, and what can the mother or the ex-wife do in her position. And with adult children, I think it's pretty difficult for her to really enact a lot of change in her children either. So there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of frustration and helplessness in just not being able to directly address or confront these types of behaviors, unfortunately.
I'm going to gently disagree, and then you can disagree with my disagreement if you want. But why wouldn't we, if this woman came to us, we would say something like this to her: you want to date, you get to date. It's okay. You could have been dating, you were dating, but dating is perfectly fine. How you share that with your kids, you have control over that. How you share it. You can share it in a compassionate way. You can listen to their feelings of anger and threat and all the understandable feelings they have. You can sit with them, not be absorbed by their feelings. Here's the guy talking who sticks and stones hurt his bones and words hurt him too. That's me. But anyway, yeah, but I can preach it. Tell her to sit down with the kids. And if she holds space, you and I know that phrase, meaning sit with their feelings, and yet be really clear. I'm going to date. I'm going to marry this man, and it's an exciting time. And if you come to our wedding, I'll be thrilled. If you don't, I'll be so disappointed. And leave it at that. And knowing, here's another DBT that you can tell us about, Jonathan, knowing that things will be different in a week, and then they'll be different again in 2 weeks. That's dialectical, meaning everything is always changing. So even though the kids, when she looks at us and says, oh, they won't come to our wedding and they will hold it against me forever, we look at her and we say, yeah, you don't know that. You don't know that. What you know is that you can present your feelings and concerns to them, and then you can let them sit with it. And what you do know is that in 2 weeks, they will be in a different place, and in 4 weeks, a different place again, and in 8 weeks, a different place again. And we all can comfort ourselves with knowing that things are always changing in ways that we don't even know. Is that all true, Jonathan? Is that DBT? Am I doing okay with that language?
Yeah, and what you were talking about before, to remind yourself that you don't know the future, you don't know what's going to happen, or to say that feelings you will regulate eventually. Those are all examples of coping thoughts, and that's really important to be able to tell yourself those things, especially when there is a situation where you do not have control over somebody else's decisions or somebody else's behavioral dynamics. And those coping thoughts are really important. I agree. I think that telling the kids this in that direct sort of way is really important to do. And another skill from DBT is to identify what your goals are, identify what the intention is for this particular conversation. And really, we are at our best. We're the most effective when we choose one goal. So for a conversation, if she wants to tell them, this is what I'm doing, that might be one goal. If she really wants to hear how they feel and what they're thinking about it and what concerns they might have, that might be a different goal. If she wants to change their minds, and make them do something in particular, those would be different goals. Heads up, she can't. She doesn't have ultimate control of that.
Right.
But the point being that when you are moving into a conversation where you're trying to express something, or when you're addressing things, there's lots of things that are true at the same time. And she wants to identify, well, what is my goal? And then she can say, well, then these are the things that I'm going to bring into this conversation. And this is the order of things.
Would you agree that this woman stands on the precipice of making matters worse or possibly quite better? In other words, she can make it worse by retaliating and being aggressive and getting into her kids' business and trying to get them to see how their dad has indoctrinated them. And anyway, blah, 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 just really making matters horribly worse, as opposed to just there's another famous phrase: don't just do something, sit there. That's DBT too, right? Don't just do something, sit there. Just sit there. Yes, kids, I'm going to marry this man. Yeah, but I know, but I'm going to marry him. Yeah, but what about? I know, but I'm going to marry him. Well, we're not going to show. Well, okay, I know, and that will be so sad. But I'm going to marry him anyway. Don't just do something. Sit there, just hold space. Is that DBT, Jonathan? DBT-ish?
Yeah. Well, there's also there's that broken record response. There's a whole section that addresses how to say no. So ultimately, you want to be looking at this, or she would want to be looking at this as, are they doing? Is this manipulative on their part? Are they saying, we will not go to your wedding unless you XYZ, things like that? Are they trying to get her to change her mind? And ultimately, what you're describing is saying no. She's saying, no, this is going to happen. I am making this decision. I am very happy with this decision. And that identifying where she ends and they begin is also that boundaries conversation. I think that it is, it's really what I had mentioned earlier too about identifying the goals for the conversation. Another benefit to doing that is you can gauge your own success in that conversation based off of what your goal was for the conversation.
I like
so
that.
Then you don't have to gauge your success so much off of the other person's reaction or whether or not they did the thing that you wanted them to do or not. And that's really important to do, especially when there are differences of opinions or there are lots of different emotional experiences.
So this woman could have the goal of, I'm going to simply be clear with my grown kids about my intention to marry this man, and I'm hoping they will be there, and I'm going to communicate that clearly. That's it.
Yeah.
That's my entire goal.
Right. And it might be very important to include a conversation or to include in that conversation her emotions. If they decide to not attend her wedding, what emotion does that produce for her? That would be incredibly sad. And she might want to comment about her long-term goals for her relationship with her children. And again, it's that idea of using that wise mind. It does recognize all of the emotions that are present. It doesn't kind of pretend that they don't exist or push them to the side. It's like, no, here, this is the emotion.
Okay.
All right. This one was a interesting one, so let's go and dive into Humble Pop 6021. I'm a 32-year-old female. I'm a divorced mom of 2. My son is 11, my daughter is 9. My ex and I ended our relationship back in 2017, and he remarried in 2021. His wife has no children of her own. This topic is one that she approached me a few times with me. Starting when my ex first married her, she told me that now they were a 2-parent household and there's no need for me to show up at all to games, recitals, plays, etc. because she would be going to them and there only needed to be one. I ignored her because I've always gone to that kind of thing. I am self-employed and so I could easily plan my working day around the events for my children. My kids also want me there. They always tell me about the bigger moments in their extracurriculars or school and tell me when I should be there or if I need tickets. My ex goes when he can, which is not often, and he never goes to anything he doesn't consider big enough. Well, my ex's wife mentioned to me again last year that she wanted to go alone and I needed to only show up when it's my parenting time. Yet again, I ignored her request and continued showing up. My ex mentioned it to me also, and I told him that we could both go to their activities whenever we like. It is not dictated by the court order since it doesn't take parenting time to show up and support our children. My son had a recital a couple weeks ago, and he told me that they were asked if they could get parental volunteers. I said, of course, I would do it. My ex's wife had been asked when she was picking him up from his dance class one day if she could do more, and they mentioned volunteers, and she offered. Well, we both arrived together, and she was upset the whole 2 hours we were helping out. She was especially upset when I stayed. Afterward, she told me she was trying to create a special bond with the kids, but they will never want her around as long as I'm there. And if I'm a good person / mom, I would do the right thing and not show up to every event and give her a chance to do it so she could show extra effort for my kids. I told her I will always show up as long as my kids want me and as long as I could physically do it. I told her my relationship with my kids is important and I honestly told her that it's not this was a strange sentence, so I'm going to skip that. That is my kids' wishes as well as my relationship with them is more important. My ex's wife told me I was an A, and she called me selfish and a jealous baby mama and accused me of unreasonable hatred. My ex also gave me a hard time about it afterwards. Am I the a-hole?
Wow. No. And let's see, her ex's girlfriend, when her ex's girlfriend says this, there's no need for you to show up. That's what Jonathan and I were talking about, making judgmental statements. There actually is a need for her to show up, and that is she wants to show up. So she has a need to be there for her children. And so the ex's girlfriend is way out of her lane, in my opinion. And this situation, though I have some compassion for the ex's wife. It's ex's wife, isn't not girlfriend, wife.
It's wife.
Anyway, what?
Wife.
Yeah.
It's the
wife.
bonus
Anyway,
mom.
so even though this other woman, she's way out of her lane, she is voicing her own, hey, I'm trying to create a relationship with the kids, and my goodness, I can have sensitivity and compassion for those desires. However, to say there's no need, you don't need to do this, you're an a-hole, no, not at all. Not at all. Out of her lane. Jonathan, what do you think?
In saying that, also she's not focusing on the children or their needs, or their relationship with their mother at all. It's not about the children. It's all about her, whatever this jealousy or competitiveness or whatever is going on for her. I don't think there's a lot that this woman, what'd you say, humble pop?
Humble pop.
There's not a lot that she can do to change this stepmother's mind in things. But I do agree with you. That was the thought I had, is perhaps sort of sidestepping all of this and trying to initiate a new conversation to say, hey, I heard that one part that you said about how you really want to establish a unique and strong relationship with the kids. I'm all for that. And let's talk about what that looks like, or what you would need in order to do that. And I'm not going to stop going to their activities, but to really focus the attention on, like, well, what can we do to make that? I'm on team kids. So let's do it.
That is really, I think we're onto something there, Jonathan. Looking for the opportunity to create a collaborative relationship with whoever it is that we're talking to and about, rather than, again, getting reactive and, no, you can't tell me when to show up or not show up for my, no. I like it. I like your notion. Sidestepping any temptation I might have to get into a power struggle. Seek opportunities to be in collaboration. And if we listen, Rosenberg, you quoted nonviolent communication author Dr. Rosenberg, he puts forward, essentially, if we listen hard enough and long enough, conflict dissolves. Is that always the case? No. But is it often the case? Yes. If we listen long enough and hard enough and compassionate enough, we might just be able to find a place of connection. And yeah, there was one line in there that said, ooh, this could be an opportunity.
Yeah. All right. I think we are up on our time.
All right. Well, as always, robust conversation today, Jonathan, and these situations, boy, they make me think. They're real life. It's this is like, this is the real nitty gritty of life. And it challenges me to show up well. I hope it challenges all of you to show up well. If any of this resonates with you, you can start by visiting our website, www.marriagerecoverycenter.com, to book a free 20-minute phone consultation with one of our very well-trained client care specialists to learn how to get started on getting help. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment and leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to our channel to be notified of upcoming episodes. You can learn more about Jonathan on our website, myself, and all of the clinicians and the work that we do. So until next time, this is Dr. David Hawkins signing off for Mad in Love.